Hey guys, tonight we're exploring genetic anomalies in this world that defy all explanation. Unexplained skeletal structures, DNA sequences that defy evolution, and physiological traits that hint at something beyond natural selection. These aren't just fringe theories or sci-fi fantasies. These are real, documented genetic and anatomical curiosities that scientists and researchers are still struggling to classify and understand. Why do these differences exist? What do they tell us about our true origins? And perhaps the most unsettling question of all, what if humanity isn't entirely a product of natural evolution? From skulls reshaped in ancient rituals to blood types that don't quite fit the evolutionary tree. So, before gently uncovering the profound genetic anomalies that suggest humanity was engineered, take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy our content. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. It's always a joy to see how many people from around the world are ready for this journey. Now, dim the lights, close your eyes, feel your body deeply relax, leaving the tiring day behind, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Our journey tonight begins not in ancient ruins, but deep within our very own biology. We'll explore the familiar blueprint of the human body, but then we'll shift our gaze to the subtle, yet profound, deviations. The real mystery lies in certain genetic markers and anatomical variations that just don't add up. Things like specific blood types or the persistent presence of unique skeletal features in isolated populations. The question isn't just how they exist, but why they exist in ways that hint at an intelligent hand in our distant past. The quest to answer that question opens up a fascinating and often overlooked debate. Now, let's break down the most compelling evidence, the scientific resistance to these ideas, and the glaring questions no conventional explanation seems to fully address. The journey we embark on tonight is one that asks us to gently suspend our deepest assumptions, to look beyond the surface of what we think we know about ourselves. For centuries, the narrative of human evolution has been a story of gradual ascent, a slow, deliberate march from primal beginnings to the complex beings we are today. Yet, beneath this well-established narrative, whispers of another possibility persist. What if the story is richer, more intricate, or even more profound than we have allowed ourselves to consider? Imagine for a moment that our very blueprint, the intricate code woven into every cell, holds secrets yet to be fully deciphered. This isn't about discrediting scientific endeavor, but about widening our lens, allowing for the gentle contemplation of explanations that might lie just beyond our current understanding. The concept of engineered humanity can feel unsettling, perhaps even provocative, yet it invites us to explore our origins with a renewed sense of wonder and humility. It asks, could there have been external influences, perhaps guiding hands, in the shaping of our species? This profound question arises not from wild speculation alone, but from a mosaic of observations, small, persistent anomalies found across human biology and history that seem to hum with a different tune. These are not grand, sudden breaks in the evolutionary chain, but rather subtle divergences, unexpected traits, and puzzling patterns that challenge the straightforward path of natural selection. They are like misplaced pieces in a vast, ancient puzzle, each one hinting at a larger, hidden picture. Tonight, we will delve into these intriguing clues, these biological enigmas. We will embark on a calm exploration of facts, theories, and ancient narratives that suggest something more, from the unique structure of certain skeletal remains to peculiar genetic markers. Each anomaly acts as a tiny doorway, opening into a realm of deep questions about who we are and where we truly come from. This exploration isn't about reaching definitive answers, but about embracing the mystery, allowing our minds to wander through the possibilities. Even as our bodies drift into a state of profound rest, we are seeking to understand, with a quiet curiosity, the subtle discordances in our genetic symphony. Why do certain traits persist despite evolutionary disadvantages? Why do some parts of our DNA remain largely unknown in their function? These aren't simple questions with simple answers. They are threads in a grand tapestry, inviting us to reflect on the immense complexity of life and the potentially vast unknowns that still surround our own existence. As we journey deeper into these curiosities, remember that every question, every anomaly, is an invitation to expand our understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. The path we tread is one of contemplation, not confrontation. We are simply observers, gently examining the evidence laid before us, considering what it might mean if humanity's story began with a touch of design, an intentional craft, rather than solely the slow, undirected dance of evolution. With each revelation, we hope to enrich your sense of wonder and provide a tranquil space for profound thought as you prepare for a peaceful sleep. As we gently glide further into this exploration, it's natural to wonder, where does such an idea, the concept of humanity being engineered, even come from? It's not a notion born purely from modern science fiction. In fact, traces of this profound premise can be found woven into the very fabric of human history and culture, echoing across civilizations and ancient texts. Long before microscopes revealed the intricate double helix of DNA, our ancestors grappled with questions of origin, and their answers often hinted at creators, designers, or gods who played a direct hands-on role in shaping humankind. Consider the ancient myths and legends that span continents, from the Sumerian tablets, which speak of the Anunnaki creating the Lulu Amalu, a primitive worker with an altered genetic makeup, to various indigenous creation stories describing powerful beings sculpting humanity from clay or breathing life into forms they had fashioned. These narratives, often dismissed as mere fantasy, carry a striking resemblance to a concept we now understand as genetic modification or intentional design. They are not merely stories, but perhaps ancient memories or interpretations of events that defy our conventional understanding of natural evolution. It's a thought-provoking parallel that the very essence of engineering, the deliberate design and construction for a specific purpose, has been a recurring motif in human attempts to explain our own existence. These aren't always tales of divine perfection. Sometimes they describe beings created with flaws, with specific tasks, or even with a limited lifespan, suggesting a purpose-driven, rather than purely organic, emergence. The consistency of this theme across cultures that had no known contact with one another is, in itself, an anomaly worth contemplating. Even early scientific observations, though limited, sometimes nudged at these ideas. Before Darwin, naturalists and philosophers often marveled at the intricate design of living creatures, seeing evidence of an intelligent hand behind the complexity of life. While modern science largely shifted to natural selection, these earlier contemplations remind us that the human mind has long entertained the possibility of intentional creation. The sheer complexity of our biology, the remarkable capabilities of our minds, and the very specific ways our bodies function, once led many to conclude that such intricate systems could not have arisen by chance alone. This historical and cultural backdrop doesn't prove engineering, but it certainly lays the groundwork for *Y*. This radical hypothesis might be worth our calm and considered attention tonight. It suggests that the idea of external influence on our creation is not new. It's an ancient whisper, now being amplified by modern scientific anomalies. As we settle deeper into this exploration, let us appreciate that these old stories and early ponderings are not disconnected from the genetic curiosities we will soon uncover. Instead, they form a rich tapestry, inviting us to see the modern scientific puzzles in a new, perhaps more profound light. They remind us that the questions of our origins have always been deeply personal and profoundly mysterious. As we continue to gently unfold the narrative of our potential origins, it becomes clear that even within the robust framework of conventional scientific understanding, there are profound questions that linger, persistent whispers that challenge our most cherished assumptions, while the vast and intricate dance of evolution, with its elegant principles of natural selection and gradual adaptation, offers compelling explanations for much of life on Earth. There exist certain human variations, certain remarkable leaps in development, and certain deeply embedded biological puzzles that seem to strain the edges of these established models. This is not an act of dismissal towards rigorous scientific inquiry, which has so profoundly illuminated our world, but rather a humble acknowledgement that the deepest unknown often lies at the very frontiers of our current understanding, constantly inviting us to expand our conceptual horizons and question what we believe to be immutable truths. Consider, for a moment, the astonishing pace of human development when viewed through the vast lens of geological time, the ascent to obligate bipedalism, freeing our hands for tool use and complex gestures, the rapid and almost inexplicable expansion of our brain size, far beyond what might be strictly necessary for survival alone, and the sudden emergence of complex language, symbolic thought, and artistic expression. All of these milestones appear, in the grand scheme of evolutionary history, almost like an accelerated burst of activity, a powerful cognitive and physical surge, while gradual, incremental adaptation is the known hallmark of natural selection. These particular human traits seem to have propelled us forward with a speed and a precision that many researchers find genuinely difficult to reconcile with purely incremental, undirected processes. These are not minor discrepancies to be easily overlooked, but rather significant, species-defining transformations, and their seemingly abrupt appearance has long intrigued and, at times, confounded those dedicated to understanding human origins. Furthermore, deep within the intricate machinery of our bodies, we harbor curious physiological peculiarities and enigmatic genetic sequences that present a subtle, yet persistent, challenge to a perfectly seamless evolutionary narrative. Why, for instance, do we possess an immune system that is both incredibly robust in certain aspects, yet curiously vulnerable to a myriad of common diseases in others? Why do specific blood types, such as the Rh-negative factor, exhibit unusual global distributions and reproductive characteristics that defy simple, straightforward adaptive explanations? Why does so much of our DNA, once dismissively labeled junk, continue to guard its secrets, its purpose still largely unknown, yet subtly hinting at complex regulatory roles or perhaps even dormant information? These are not trivial curiosities to be easily brushed aside or attributed to random chance. Instead, they are intricate threads woven into our very genetic tapestry that, when examined closely and with an open mind, seem to suggest a purpose, an intentionality, or a designed pathway that subtly diverges from the purely undirected, opportunistic course of natural evolution. It is precisely in these fascinating areas of scientific debate, these lingering questions, and these intricate biological anomalies that the premise of engineered humanity finds its most profound and compelling footing. When conventional models, for all their explanatory power, struggle to provide a complete and wholly satisfying account for all human variations and the astonishing tempo of our developmental stages, a space naturally opens for alternative theories. These are theories that, while perhaps radical to some, courageously attempt to address these persistent intellectual gaps, these profound information vacuums, without resorting to simplistic answers. This contemplation is not about discarding the accumulated wisdom of science, but about humbly acknowledging the inherent limitations of any single paradigm and being open to the serene, yet potent, possibility that our story might be far more complex, far more intentional, and far more awe-inspiring than a singular, undirected process allows. This quiet, contemplative journey is not meant to unsettle, but rather to gently deepen our sense of wonder for the sheer, boundless mystery of existence. It invites us to consider that the very fabric of our being might hold subtle clues to a deliberate design, a guiding intelligence, or a careful hand that meticulously shaped our form and function, perhaps imbuing us with qualities beyond mere survival, as we prepare to drift into the quiet contemplation of the specific anomalies that punctuate our human story, from the ancient mysteries of elongated skulls to the genetic puzzles hidden within our very blood. We do so with an open mind, seeking not definitive pronouncements, but a richer, more nuanced understanding of ourselves. These anomalies are the very signposts on our journey tonight, each one a quiet testament to the enduring questions that surround our origins, and each one a gentle whisper, inviting us to reflect on what it truly means to be human, and whether our remarkable existence might be a carefully orchestrated masterpiece, sculpted by unseen hands. Let these profound thoughts drift through your mind as a tranquil prelude to the revelations that await us, guiding you ever closer to a profound and peaceful rest and a deeper connection to the vast unknowns of our shared past. As we gently transition from the overarching theoretical premise of engineered origins, we now turn our quiet attention to the tangible, physical anomalies that exist within the archaeological record, silent witnesses from a distant past that whisper profound questions about our history. Among the most intriguing and visually striking of these clues are the phenomenon of elongated skulls, found in various ancient cultures across the globe. These aren't just curiosities. They are a deep puzzle, challenging our very understanding of human biological variation and the timeline of our development. Imagine, if you will, the arid coastal deserts of Peru, where the ancient Paracas culture once thrived. It is here that some of the most remarkable examples of these elongated skulls have been unearthed, captivating researchers and sparking intense debate. When we speak of elongated skulls, it's crucial to distinguish between those shaped by cultural cranial deformation and those whose very bone structure appears naturally different. Many ancient cultures practiced head binding, a process where pressure was applied to an infant's soft skull over time, gradually reshaping it into an elongated form. This was a deliberate cultural practice, and while it altered the skull's shape, it did not change the cranial volume, the bone density, or the number of sutures, the fibrous joints that connect the bones of the skull. The Paracas skulls, however, present a different picture, one that is far more perplexing. What makes the Paracas skulls, and others like them, so enigmatic is a combination of features. Their cranial volume, for instance, is often significantly larger, up to 25% larger and 60% heavier than average human skulls. This isn't merely a reshaping of existing bone. It suggests an inherent increase in brain capacity, a truly startling deviation. Furthermore, studies have indicated differences in the number and arrangement of the cranial sutures, and even in the placement of the foramen magnum, the large opening at the base of the skull where the spinal cord connects to the brain. These aren't superficial alterations. They are deeply structural, implying a fundamental difference in the very architecture of the skull itself. Such profound variations lead to deeply unsettling questions. If these skulls were not merely the result of cultural deformation, what then were they? Were they a distinct hominid species that lived alongside or interacted with early humans, a lineage now lost to the annals of mainstream science? Could they represent a genetic mutation of unprecedented scale, one that produced individuals with uniquely structured craniums? Or, and this is where the premise of engineered humanity truly resonates, could these be a tangible, physical remnant of an earlier genetic modification, a design alteration introduced by an external influence? The idea that early humanity might have encompassed a broader spectrum of physiological forms, some perhaps deliberately crafted or hybridized, adds a layer of profound mystery to our origins. It forces us to gently reconsider the linear progression of human evolution and entertain the possibility of more complex, perhaps even artificial, interventions in our genetic lineage. These ancient skulls, silent yet eloquent, compel us to look beyond simple explanations and ponder the vast, untrodden paths of our past. They invite us to imagine a world where the very shape of our ancestors' heads might hold a key to a story far grander and far more enigmatic than we have ever dared to fully embrace. Let this ancient cranial mystery settle softly in your mind, deepening your curiosity as you drift ever closer to a restful contemplation as our contemplative journey continues. Moving beyond the enigmatic elongated skulls of Paracas and other ancient sites, we find ourselves drawn to a broader array of skeletal anomalies findings that emerge from the very earth and present equally profound questions about our history. These aren't always as visually striking as a reshaped cranium, but their implications are just as deep, suggesting a range of human or humanoid variations that subtly, yet significantly, depart from the conventional understanding of Homo sapiens. Imagine the quiet excavation sites, where the dust of millennia is brushed away to reveal bones that tell a story far more complex than anticipated. Across various corners of the world, archaeological discoveries have occasionally unveiled human remains possessing unusual bone structures, densities, or even subtle additional features not typically observed in modern humans. These aren't isolated incidents, but rather a recurring whisper from the past, each discovery adding another layer to the puzzle of our origins. We're talking about findings that describe bones with extraordinary thickness, suggesting a robustness or resilience that far exceeds what one would expect from a species evolving in response to the demands of its environment. It's as if these individuals were built for a different world, or perhaps with a different purpose. Consider, for instance, reports of skeletal remains exhibiting bone densities far beyond the norm, almost akin to a different species. These aren't merely larger bones, but bones whose very internal structure implies an almost unparalleled strength, a capability for enduring physical stresses that modern human physiology would struggle to comprehend. Such findings provoke a gentle, yet persistent, question: what forces, natural or otherwise, could have led to such deviations? Were these the product of extreme, yet unrecorded, environmental pressures? Or do they hint at something more deliberate, a foundational template designed for a higher level of physical durability? Further adding to this intrigue are the occasional discoveries of ancient human or humanoid remains that seem to possess subtle yet distinct morphological differences, slight variations in joint articulation, the size or shape of specific vertebral components, or even suggestions of extra ribs or unique bone fusions that diverge from the standard human anatomical blueprint. These aren't catastrophic deformities, but rather consistent patterns within certain ancient populations that quietly defy easy classification. They are anomalies that nudge us to consider the possibility of a wider spectrum of physical forms in our ancient past, perhaps even suggesting separate or parallel lineages that existed alongside or predated what we now consider mainstream human evolution. Each of these unusual findings, whether of heightened bone density or subtle structural variations, compels us to revisit the concept of design alterations. If a guiding hand was indeed involved in shaping humanity, as some theories propose, then physical attributes like skeletal strength and resilience could certainly be among the traits that were intentionally modified, perhaps for laborious tasks, for navigating harsh environments, or even for protection against unknown ancient threats. The enduring presence of these physically distinct remains acts as a quiet testament to a past where human biology might have been far more diverse and, in some respects, far more robust than we currently imagine. These ancient bones, resting silently beneath layers of earth, serve as profound reminders that our understanding of human physical evolution may still be incomplete. They invite us to ponder the possibility that the very framework of our being has been subject to influences beyond mere chance, perhaps to specific engineering choices that aimed to imbue early humanity with particular strengths or characteristics. As we allow these thoughts to gently settle, imagine the untold stories held within these ancient structures, stories of a humanity perhaps subtly different, fundamentally stronger, and undeniably more mysterious than we have previously allowed ourselves to believe. Let these skeletal enigmas guide you deeper into a tranquil state, opening your mind to the vast, undiscovered chapters of our shared history. As our contemplative journey continues, having explored the silent, ancient whispers held within unusual skeletal structures, we now gently shift our focus from the observable architecture of bone to the unseen, intricate code that orchestrates all life, our genetics. Deep within the very blueprint of humanity, there exist signatures, anomalies encoded in our DNA that prompt equally profound questions about our origins. Tonight, our quiet attention turns to one of the most intriguing and widely recognized of these genetic outliers, the Rh-negative blood factor. Most of us are familiar with the basic concept of blood types A, B, O, and AB. These classifications are based on the presence or absence of specific antigens on the surface of our red blood cells. But there's another crucial marker, the rhesus Rh factor, which determines whether your blood type is positive or negative. If you have the Rh antigen, you are Rh positive. If you lack it, you are Rh negative. On the surface, this distinction might seem purely clinical, a simple biological classification essential for safe blood transfusions and vital in pregnancy. Yet, when we delve deeper into its peculiar distribution, its medical implications, and its challenging evolutionary narrative, the Rh-negative factor begins to glow with a quiet, persistent mystery, standing out as a significant genetic enigma that invites profound contemplation. What makes the Rh-negative blood factor so truly peculiar, pushing the boundaries of what we understand about human genetic diversity? Firstly, its distribution across global populations is strikingly uneven and, in many ways, defies typical evolutionary patterns rooted in adaptive selection. The vast majority of humanity, approximately 85% to 90%, is Rh positive. The Rh negative trait, by contrast, is a minority, relatively rare globally, but it's not uniformly scattered. Instead, it shows a remarkable, almost perplexing, concentration in certain isolated populations, most notably among the indigenous Basque people, nestled in the Pyrenees Mountains of Spain and France. Here, the prevalence of Rh negative individuals can be astonishingly high, reaching up to 35% or even 40% in some specific communities, a stark contrast to global averages. Significant pockets also exist in certain ancient lineages throughout Europe, particularly in Celtic regions, while being almost entirely absent, near zero occurrence in indigenous populations of the Americas, Asia, and Africa. This highly specific geographical clustering, combined with its overall rarity yet ancient persistence, raises the initial eyebrow of scientific curiosity. Why would a genetic trait be so exceptionally prevalent and enduring in some ancient European groups, yet virtually non-existent elsewhere, if purely random, undirected evolutionary processes were the sole architects of human genetic variation? But the true, compelling heart of the Rh negative paradox lies profoundly in its potential evolutionary disadvantage, particularly in human reproduction. This is where the quiet scientific observation evolves into a poignant moral dilemma or a significant biological trade-off from an evolutionary perspective. Consider the scenario when an Rh negative mother carries an Rh positive baby, a situation that can arise if the father is Rh positive and passes on the dominant Rh positive gene. Her immune system, upon exposure to the baby's Rh positive blood cells, can develop powerful antibodies. In subsequent pregnancies with Rh positive babies, these maternal antibodies are capable of crossing the placenta and launching an attack on the fetal red blood cells. This immune response leads to a severe and potentially devastating condition known as hemolytic disease of the newborn, or erythroblastis fetalis. This condition can cause profound jaundice, severe anemia, heart failure, and, tragically, even stillbirth or severe brain damage in the affected infant. While modern medicine has developed interventions to manage and largely prevent this, for the vast majority of human history, before such medical advancements, this was a significant and often fatal reproductive complication. From a purely Darwinian standpoint, guided by the principles of natural selection, a genetic trait that introduces such a profound reproductive complication, potentially reducing the survival rate of offspring across generations, should, over immense periods, be naturally selected against asterisk. It should diminish significantly in frequency, perhaps even disappearing entirely from the gene pool, not persist, and certainly not thrive in specific populations with such remarkable concentrations. Yet, the Rh negative factor has not only endured, but, in some areas, maintained a significant and ancient presence for millennia. This persistence, despite a clear and measurable evolutionary cost and a biological incompatibility that literally pits a mother's body against her own offspring, creates a compelling information gap in our understanding of human evolutionary pathways. Why would this trait, with its inherent biological complication and historical threat to infant survival, remain such a consistent and even concentrated part of the human genetic tapestry, particularly when simpler, more advantageous blood types are overwhelmingly dominant? What is its hidden purpose, or what ancestral lineage brought it into being? This enduring puzzle has quite naturally led to various theories that gently, yet firmly, push the boundaries of conventional evolutionary thought. Some mainstream researchers, grappling with this anomaly, have speculated that the Rh negative factor might represent a vestige or a genetic marker from an earlier distinct hominid lineage, perhaps a group that predated or diverged significantly from modern Homo sapiens that subsequently interbred with early human populations, thereby introducing a foreign genetic signature into our gene pool. However, this still doesn't fully explain the persistence of a seemingly disadvantageous trait. It is within this context that the premise of engineered humanity finds an especially compelling resonance. Could the Rh negative blood factor, with its curious distribution and profound reproductive challenges, be a legacy of genetic intervention, a deliberate modification, or even a signature left behind by an external, non-human intelligence? Imagine a scenario where a trait was introduced, perhaps for reasons entirely unknown to us, or for benefits that are no longer apparent in our current environment, from a lineage not fully adapted to human reproductive biology. Or perhaps it was a trait with an as yet undiscovered advantage that, in a different, perhaps ancient and no-forgotten context, far outweighed its reproductive drawbacks, making it a valuable, if now puzzling, design choice. Such a hypothesis suggests that the Rh negative trait might not be a purely natural evolutionary adaptation, shaped solely by millennia of gradual natural selection, but rather an inserted genetic characteristic. It could be a biological code that carries a subtle memory of its non-terrestrial or non-human origin, a deliberate imprint. The profound difficulties in reconciling its distribution and reproductive implications with straightforward, undirected natural selection lend a quiet, yet powerful, weight to this line of inquiry. It asks us to consider: is this genetic outlier a random, highly improbable mutation that somehow defied all conventional evolutionary odds to persist and concentrate? Or is it a deliberate signature left in our genetic code, a subtle, profound indicator of a more complex, perhaps intentionally shaped and engineered past? The contemplation of such a possibility does not diminish the marvel of life, but rather expands it, inviting us to consider a universe teeming with possibilities for our own creation. As you reflect on the unique enigma of the Rh negative blood factor, let its quiet mystery deepen your contemplation, inviting you to ponder the intricate tapestry of our genetic heritage. It's a powerful reminder that even in the most fundamental aspects of our biology, such as the very composition of our blood, there are profound questions that resist easy answers. These questions urge us to look beyond the obvious and consider the vast, untold stories embedded within our very own genetic code. Let this thought settle gently as we prepare to uncover further genetic curiosities, guiding you ever closer towards a restful and insightful sleep, enriched by the quiet wonder of the unknown, as our exploration continues to deepen. Moving from the curious enigma of the Rh negative blood factor clear, yet puzzling signature in our genetic makeup, we now turn our quiet attention inward, to the very heart of our biological instruction manual, our DNA. Within this intricate double helix, within the vast, sprawling expanse of our genome, lies perhaps one of the most profound and overlooked genetic anomalies, the immense stretches of what was once, and somewhat dismissively, labeled junk DNA. This concept, in its evolution from scientific dismissal to a realm of profound mystery, offers a fertile ground for contemplating intentional design and the hidden layers of our own genesis. For many decades, the scientific community, in its earnest quest to understand the mechanisms of heredity, focused intently on the relatively small portions of our DNA that code for proteins. These approximately 20,000 to 25,000 genes were considered the active players, the essential instructions for building and maintaining a human being, responsible for everything from eye color to enzyme production. The vast majority of our genome, staggering 98%, did not appear to code for any proteins at all. Scientists, in their early nascent understanding of genetics, found themselves confronting these immense, seemingly silent expanses of genetic material, lacking an immediate, identifiable function, and appearing to be merely repetitive, redundant, or inert. These stretches were, for a long time, regarded as evolutionary detritus, superfluous remnants accumulated over eons of ancestral past. The term junk DNA emerged as a convenient, albeit perhaps premature, label for these unexplained segments, implying they were nothing more than biological clutter, irrelevant to the grand narrative of life. It was a comfortable, if somewhat incomplete, explanation for the vast unknown within our own cells, allowing researchers to focus on the more obvious and immediately functional components. However, as the tools of molecular biology grew more sophisticated, particularly with advancements in genome sequencing and functional genomics, this simplistic view began to profoundly unravel. The junk began to reveal unexpected layers of complexity, sparking a profound paradigm shift in genetic research. We now understand that much of this non-coding DNA is far from inert. Indeed, its quiet activity is ceaseless. Instead, it plays incredibly vital and intricate regulatory roles, acting as the masterful conductor of our genetic orchestra. It contains vast networks of genetic switches, enhancers, and silencers that precisely dictate when, where, and how much protein is produced from the coding genes. These non-coding sequences also include microRNAs that fine-tune gene expression, long non-coding RNAs that influence chromatin structure, and architectural elements that help fold and organize the entire genome within the tiny confines of a cell nucleus, ensuring proper gene access and function. They are crucial for development, disease susceptibility, and the subtle, yet defining, species-specific traits that make us uniquely human. This modern understanding elevates junk DNA from mere clutter to a sophisticated, highly organized control system, revealing an astonishing level of biological engineering and coordination within our own cells. A subtle masterpiece of biochemical regulation. Yet, even with this burgeoning understanding of its regulatory functions, a vast, undeniable mystery persists. There remain immense stretches, billions of base pairs, of non-coding DNA whose precise purpose is still entirely unknown to us. These are not merely regulatory switches awaiting full decipherment. These are deep, dark pools within our genetic ocean, holding secrets that continue to elude our most advanced scientific instruments and our most brilliant minds. Furthermore, some of these sequences appear unusually divergent, almost inserted, when compared across different species, or they demonstrate an uncanny stability over evolutionary time despite no apparent functional pressure. Why are these sequences so vast? What information, if any, do they hold? And why do some appear to have no immediate or obvious role in our current biological functioning, yet remain stubbornly present, faithfully replicated with every single cell division, consuming cellular resources and energy without a clear, discernible payoff in our present understanding? This persistence itself, like a steadfast placeholder, hints at a deeper, unrevealed significance. This is precisely where the concept of an engineered humanity truly invites our quiet contemplation, offering a compelling alternative lens through which to view this persistent genetic puzzle. Could these vast, unexplained stretches of DNA be remnants of something more profound, Perhaps a comprehensive genetic library, a repository of dormant genes, or a collection of complex instructions from an earlier, more intricate blueprint. Imagine a grand design, a highly advanced biological engineering project, where certain genetic instructions were intentionally deactivated, rendered non-functional, or even left as placeholders for future activation. These could be the subtle echoes of a sophisticated genetic editing process, where specific functions were toggled off to simplify an organism, or new sequences were subtly introduced, perhaps as a form of biological software updates, without fully integrating into our observable phenotype. Consider the profound possibility that some of these deeply mysterious sequences are, in fact, traces of foreign insertions, genetic material introduced from an external, non-terrestrial, or highly advanced terrestrial source that has been integrated into our genome over immense periods. It's a concept that aligns eerily with ancient narratives found globally, which speak of creators or sky people directly shaping humanity, suggesting a literal biological intervention that left its indelible mark at the molecular level. These could be the deliberate signatures of an advanced intelligence, embedding information or specific traits into our very being, some of which we are only now, with our rapidly evolving genetic technologies, beginning to detect and tentatively understand. Perhaps these are dormant genetic switches, waiting for specific environmental triggers, or even for our own technological evolution to reach a point where we can consciously activate or decode them, revealing capabilities, knowledge, or even an entirely new stage of human development that we currently only dream of. The very presence of such vast, unexplained genetic real estate within us, maintained through countless generations, speaks volumes to the possibility of a hidden purpose. The junk code paradox, therefore, shifts from a simple label of dismissal to a profound testament of the unknown. It transforms from an evolutionary afterthought into a canvas of potential design, a whispered suggestion that our genetic blueprint is far from a simple, unguided accident of nature. Instead, it might be a meticulously crafted document, replete with hidden chapters, encrypted messages, and deactivated functionalities that hint at a sophisticated and intentional origin. This persistent genetic mystery, quietly humming beneath the surface of our cellular existence, invites us to reflect on the immense potential and profound secrets still locked within our own biology. It encourages us to maintain an open mind, a gentle curiosity, as we continue our tranquil journey through the anomalies that define us. Let this profound thought settle gently in your mind, enriching your understanding of the deep wonders that still lie hidden within our very selves, guiding you softly towards a peaceful and restorative sleep, with the quiet contemplation of our coded origins, as our tranquil journey delves ever deeper into the subtle whispers of our origins. Having quietly contemplated the enigmatic signatures embedded within our very genetic code, we now turn our gentle gaze to the more outwardly observable, yet equally profound, physiological peculiarities that define us as human. These are the physical traits we often take for granted, the very ways our bodies are formed and function. Yet upon closer, more contemplative inspection, they present a fascinating challenge to conventional evolutionary narratives. Tonight, we will serenely examine to such remarkable anomalies, our striking human hairlessness and our distinctive obligate upright posture. Both traits, when placed under the soft light of scrutiny, hint at a developmental pathway that may have been far more rapid, or even intentionally guided, than a purely gradual, undirected evolution would suggest. Consider first the curious anomaly of human hairlessness. When we compare ourselves to our closest genetic relatives, the great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, a stark visual difference immediately emerges. They are covered, often densely, in body hair, serving a clear evolutionary purpose for thermoregulation, protection from elements, and even social display. Yet, humanity, a species that evolved in diverse climates, ranging from scorching savannas to colder regions, exhibits a striking lack of a thick, insulating fur coat. While we do possess hair, it is primarily concentrated on our heads, in our armpits, and in the pubic region, with the vast majority of our skin surface being remarkably bare. This profound hairlessness is an evolutionary puzzle. Mainstream theories propose various adaptive advantages, perhaps for more efficient cooling in the hot African savanna, allowing for sustained endurance hunting, or to reduce parasite load, or even linked to the development of sophisticated clothing. These are compelling arguments, and certainly, natural selection plays a powerful role in shaping such traits. However, the question that gently lingers is whether these adaptive advantages alone fully explain the extent and the rapid y of our hair loss. Could our hairlessness be more than a gradual adaptation? Could it, instead, be seen as a potential designer trait, a deliberate choice in a larger biological blueprint? Imagine, for a moment, an external influence guiding our development, perhaps seeing hairlessness as an advantageous feature for reasons we don't yet fully comprehend. Perhaps for hygiene, for specific social or communication cues, or even for compatibility with a certain type of environment or technology that is now lost to our history. The very speed with which such a significant protective feature would have been shed across a species adapting to varying conditions invites us to contemplate whether there was an accelerated program, a subtle nudge in our genetic instruction, that prioritized this distinctive physical characteristic over a more traditional, furry mammalian form. It is a thought that, while speculative, adds another layer of profound intrigue to the question of our origins, urging us to look beyond the immediately apparent and consider deeper, perhaps hidden, purposes for our bare skin. Next, let us turn our attention to another foundational human characteristic, our obligate, upright posture, or bipedalism. This is arguably one of the most significant evolutionary leaps in human history, fundamentally reshaping our anatomy and paving the way for countless unique human innovations. From toolmaking to complex social structures, the ability to walk exclusively on two legs freed our hands, elevated our gaze, and changed our interaction with the world. Conventionally, the transition to bipedalism is understood as a gradual process, driven by environmental changes like the shrinking of forests and the expansion of savannas, where standing tall offered advantages for spotting predators or reaching for food. The fossil record indeed shows a progression of hominids with varying degrees of bipedality. Yet, what is truly remarkable is the almost abrupt shift to obligate bipedalism in our direct ancestors, compared to the incredibly slow pace of anatomical development in most other species. The human shift appears almost rapid, a sudden and profound commitment to a form of locomotion that required extensive skeletal and muscular rearrangement. This wasn't merely a preference. It became a fundamental, non-negotiable aspect of our anatomy. The intricate re-engineering of the pelvis, spine, feet, and even the foramen magnum, the opening at the base of the skull, to accommodate this upright stance is an astonishing feat of biological architecture. While the adaptive benefits are undeniable, The question that gently arises is whether this rapid and profound respecialization was purely the result of undirected natural pressures, or if it represents a programmed acceleration, a deliberate and swift adjustment to our physical form. Could this rapid adoption of upright posture be a hallmark of a guiding hand, an intentional design decision that jump-started a key evolutionary trajectory, an external intelligence seeking to develop a species capable of tool manipulation, advanced observation, and complex social interactions, might prioritize bipedalism as a foundational step, implementing it with a speed that surpasses purely gradual adaptation. This would bypass the millennia of incremental trial and error, effectively fast-tracking a critical physiological development. The elegance and profound efficiency of our bipedal locomotion, despite its associated drawbacks like back pain or birthing difficulties, suggest a highly refined design, almost as if engineered for optimal function in a specific, perhaps predetermined, role. As these thoughts quietly settle, consider how these two traits, our unusual hairlessness and our remarkable upright posture, shape our daily experience. They are so fundamental to who we are, yet their origins remain veiled in a subtle, scientific mystery. Could they be more than just happy accidents of evolution? Could they be the subtle hallmarks of a master craftsman, the intentional brushstrokes of a grand designer, subtly embedded within our very physiology? This calm contemplation invites us to look at our own bodies, these incredible vessels of life, with a renewed sense of wonder and a gentle curiosity for the untold stories they might still hold. Let these physiological peculiarities guide you deeper into reflection, gently preparing your mind for a night of peaceful rest and profound thought. As our contemplative journey continues to unveil the subtle yet profound ways our physiology deviates from the expected evolutionary path. Having just explored the mysteries of our unique hairlessness and the profound leap to obligate bipedalism, we now direct our gentle gaze towards an even more intricate and astonishing biological feature, the human larynx, and its crucial role in our capacity for complex speech. This seemingly simple structure, nestled in our throats, holds within its unique position a paradox that deeply puzzles evolutionary biologists and whispers of an intentional design, one that prioritized a singular, remarkable ability, even at a measurable cost to our immediate survival. The human larynx, or voice box, is positioned significantly lower in the throat compared to almost all other mammals, including our primate relatives. This anatomical descent creates a much larger pharyngeal cavity, the space above the vocal cords, which acts as a resonating chamber, allowing for the astonishing range of sounds and the precise articulation required for complex spoken language. This unique arrangement is what enables us to produce the rich tapestry of vowels and consonants that form the basis of human speech, allowing for intricate communication, the sharing of abstract ideas, and the development of culture as we know it. Without this laryngeal descent, our vocalizations would likely be far more limited, closer to the grunts and calls of other animals. It is, undeniably, a marvel of biological engineering, perfectly adapted for the profound function of sophisticated verbal communication. However, this extraordinary adaptation comes with a striking and, from an evolutionary survival perspective, seemingly significant drawback. The lowered position of the larynx brings with it an increased risk of choking. In most mammals, the larynx is situated higher in the throat, allowing the epiglottis to effectively seal off the trachea during swallowing, separating the airway from the food passage. In humans, due to the descended larynx, the airway and food passage cross paths in the pharynx, creating a vulnerable intersection. This anatomical arrangement means that food or liquid can, and frequently does, accidentally enter the trachea, leading to choking, a potentially fatal event. For countless millennia, before the advent of modern first aid and medical understanding, choking would have been an ever-present and often deadly threat, a clear survival disadvantage for our species. This presents a profound evolutionary puzzle. From a purely natural selection standpoint, where survival and reproduction are paramount, a significant anatomical adaptation that confers such a clear and consistent survival risk should, theoretically, be selected against. Traits that introduce such a fatal flaw are typically weeded out over time, as individuals with those traits are less likely to survive, to reproduce. Yet, here we stand, a species defined by our capacity for complex speech. Despite an anatomical design that makes us uniquely susceptible to choking, why would such an adaptation, with its inherent danger, persist and become so deeply embedded in our biology? What was the evolutionary pressure so overwhelming that it justified such a significant trade-off between the profound benefit of speech and the ever-present risk of asphyxiation? It is precisely this dramatic juxtaposition, the immense communication benefits weighed against the clear survival drawback, that invites us to consider a narrative beyond purely undirected natural selection. The unique human laryngeal descent for speech could be interpreted as a deliberate design choice, a priority set by an intelligent hand that consciously chose to emphasize advanced communication capabilities, even if it meant introducing a measurable vulnerability into the species' physical blueprint. Imagine a creator or an engineer faced with the task of developing a species capable of sophisticated thought and intricate social structure, determining that complex vocalization was a non-negotiable prerequisite, a critical upgrade for consciousness and collaboration. In such a scenario, the trade-off, the increased choking hazard, might have been deemed an acceptable, albeit regrettable, consequence for achieving the ultimate goal of advanced speech. This isn't about suggesting that our design is imperfect, but rather that it might be purpose-driven with certain functions prioritized over others. The design isn't about absolute safety, but about optimal function for a specific, higher purpose. This moral expectation subversion, where a biological design isn't perfectly optimized for raw survival but for a more complex, perhaps intentional role, is a powerful concept when contemplating engineered humanity. It implies that the parameters for our creation were not solely dictated by brute survival in the wild, but by a grander vision that included the profound capacity for sharing knowledge, expressing intricate emotions, and building civilizations through spoken word. The uniqueness of this laryngeal position, almost unparalleled in the animal kingdom, and the perplexing trade-off it represents, quietly echo the possibility of an intelligent, goal-oriented influence in our past. It suggests that our capacity for speech, the very foundation of our intellectual and social complexity, may not be merely an emergent property of gradual evolution, but a deliberately imbued gift, a carefully integrated feature of a grander design. This profound anomaly, embedded in the very mechanics of our voice, urges us to ponder the intricate intentions behind our making. As you reflect on the silent story of our voice box, consider the immense power and beauty of human speech and the hidden cost it carries. Let this physiological peculiarity deepen your sense of wonder for the intricacies of our design, and guide you towards a state of profound contemplation and peaceful rest. It is a subtle, yet powerful, reminder that the questions of our origins are whispered not only in ancient stones, but also within the very sounds we make, as our serene exploration continues, gently guiding us through the intricate pathways of human physiology and the profound questions they evoke. we now turn our thoughtful attention to a category of biological features often dismissed as mere evolutionary footnotes: the so-called vestigial organs. Traditionally, these are understood as remnants from our distant past, anatomical leftovers from ancestral forms that once served a crucial purpose but have, over millennia, lost their primary function, becoming largely redundant or even detrimental in modern humans. They are presented as compelling evidence of our evolutionary journey, demonstrating how species retain traces of their history. Yet, tonight, with our minds open to the whispers of an engineered past, we will reconsider these seemingly inactive components, not merely as relics, but as potential clues, lingering designs, or perhaps even deliberately deactivated features embedded within a more complex, earlier genetic blueprint. This isn't merely a reinterpretation, it's an explicit deconstruction of a commonly held biological concept, inviting us to see familiar parts of ourselves in an entirely new light, reversing the conventional narrative to uncover deeper possibilities. Let us begin with one of the most widely recognized of these evolutionary curiosities: the human appendix. This small, finger-shaped pouch projecting from the large intestine has long been considered a prime example of a vestigial organ in our distant herbivorous ancestors. A larger cecum and appendix may have played a significant role in digesting tough plant matter, acting as a fermentation chamber for cellulose. However, in modern omnivorous humans, its traditional digestive function has largely faded, and for a considerable period, its purpose was largely a scientific mystery, often only gaining attention when it becomes inflamed, leading to the painful condition of appendicitis, which requires surgical removal. Its propensity for such dangerous inflammation, causing significant health risks and historical mortality, seemingly reinforces its image as a perilous, purposeless relic, a biological oversight that evolution simply hasn't bothered to fully eliminate. The conventional wisdom states it's simply an evolutionary blunder, a lingering artifact with no true value to our survival or well-being. However, let us consider it through a profoundly different lens, engaging in a reverse theory that challenges this straightforward interpretation. What if the appendix, in its current state, is not simply a passive leftover from a gradually evolving past, but rather a feature that was intentionally downsized or even partially deactivated from a more extensive, functional, digestive or immune component in an earlier, engineered human design? Imagine a scenario where the original blueprint for humanity included a far more comprehensive and robust digestive organ system, perhaps designed for a much broader or more specialized diet, or even a more intricate internal symbiosis with microorganisms over immense periods, or through a specific phase of targeted genetic modification, a kind of biological software update. Certain functionalities were deemed unnecessary, or perhaps too resource-intensive for the new model of humanity. In this light, the appendix becomes a silent echo of that earlier, more complete design, a deactivated app or a dormant subsystem within our biological software. It is still present, faithfully replicated with every generation, but operating at a minimal capacity or serving only a secondary, less critical role, such as a minor part in the immune system or as a safe house for beneficial gut bacteria. As some contemporary research cautiously suggests, its lingering presence and even its occasional problematic nature could be seen as an unintended side effect of a streamlining process, a subtle bug or an inherent vulnerability in a grander re-engineering project that prioritized other features. This persistent, yet problematic, existence invites us to contemplate the deliberate choices that might have shaped our internal architecture. Next, let us turn our attention to another familiar and often frustrating human characteristic, our wisdom teeth. These third molars, typically erupting in late adolescence or early adulthood, are another frequent entry on the list of vestigial organs in our more ancient ancestors, characterized by larger, more robust jaws and a coarser, more abrasive diet requiring extensive grinding. These extra molars were likely essential for processing food. However, in modern humans, with our progressively smaller jaws and a much softer processed diet, wisdom teeth frequently cause a litany of problems: impaction, where they lack sufficient space to emerge properly, crowding of other teeth, intense pain, and chronic infection. These issues often necessitate costly and uncomfortable surgical extraction, offering no clear benefit in return for the discomfort and medical intervention they demand. From a purely adaptive perspective, they seem to be a poorly integrated feature, a vestige that actively causes detriment and requires external intervention to manage, rather than contributing to our well-being or survival. Why would natural selection so persistently retain a feature that is so often problematic and actively detracts from an individual's health and comfort? From an engineered humanity perspective, the wisdom teeth could represent a similar, yet equally profound, story. Perhaps they were meticulously designed for an earlier iteration of humanity, one with a distinctly different dietary requirement, a much stronger chewing apparatus, or a physically larger craniofacial structure. As the human template was refined and updated potentially through external genetic manipulation, our jawlines might have been subtly altered and reduced in size, or our dietary needs fundamentally shifted. But the underlying genetic programming for these third molars was not entirely removed or adequately updated to match the new anatomical specifications. They are not merely leftovers in the undirected sense, but rather a set of genetic instructions that remained active, creating a significant mismatch between an older design specification and a newer, modified physical form. They could be considered a hidden bomb, a latent problem programmed into our developmental growth, activated as a consequence of their incongruity with our current morphology. Their persistent, often painful, eruption serves as a quiet, physical reminder of a discrepancy between what we are now and what we might once have been designed to be, a tangible link to a previous, unfulfilled, or altered blueprint. This incongruence, where inherited traits clash with current biology, hints at an interrupted or modified design process, echoing an intelligence that perhaps made adjustments without fully erasing all prior instructions. Beyond these more prominent and commonly recognized examples, humanity also possesses numerous other smaller vestigial structures that, though less dramatic, contribute to this grand tapestry of biological anomaly. Consider the coccyx or tailbone, a clear remnant of a tail that our primate ancestors once used for balance and communication, or the tiny erector pili muscles that cause goosebumps, immensely useful for fluffing fur in other mammals for insulation or to appear larger to predators, but largely ineffective on our relatively hairless skin. Then there's the plica semilunaris, a tiny fold in the corner of our eye, a delicate trace of a nictitating membrana, third eyelid, found in many other animals, used for protection and cleaning. Each of these, in their own quiet way, represents a piece of biological code, an anatomical instruction that continues to be replicated faithfully across generations, despite its diminished or seemingly absent function in our present form. They are small, yet persistent, anomalies that silently question the simplicity of purely undirected evolutionary processes. These persistent, yet often puzzling, elements within our bodies collectively invite us to engage in perceived, extended time, a profound contemplation of how long these features have been with us, and what deeper narratives they truly signify. Are they genuinely just the slow, fading echoes of a purely natural evolutionary past, gradually losing their hold as they become less necessary? Or could they be the deliberate markers of a more intricate, purposeful narrative, a grander design from which certain features were consciously removed, made dormant, or intentionally phased out? The very notion of deactivated traits or redundant features from an earlier engineered blueprint offers a compelling, almost philosophical, alternative to simply labeling them as junk or leftovers. It transforms them from mere biological footnotes into valuable clues, each one a subtle whisper, asking us to decode the intentions of an ancient, perhaps technologically advanced, creator or series of creators. They challenge us to consider that these leftovers might actually be left-ins, deliberately retained but made inactive, perhaps holding information or potential for a future we cannot yet conceive. Such a view doesn't diminish the incredible, undeniable journey of human evolution. Rather, it profoundly enriches it. It suggests that the path we have taken may have been guided, manipulated, or even strategically accelerated at critical junctures, with interventions that left behind these subtle, yet undeniable, biological fingerprints. These lingering designs are not anomalies that disprove evolution outright, but anomalies that broaden our understanding of the mechanisms behind it. Inviting external, intelligent influence into the equation, they challenge us to look at the seemingly trivial, the often ignored parts of our own anatomy, and ask, what hidden stories do they tell? What previous designs do they subtly reveal? What was the purpose of keeping these traces, rather than erasing them completely? As you drift deeper into a state of profound relaxation, let the quiet contemplation of these vestigial organs transform your perspective, revealing them not as simple relics, but as profound, encrypted messages from our engineered past, gently guiding you towards a night of peaceful and insightful sleep, enriched by the enduring mystery of our deeply coded selves. As our tranquil journey through the subtle anomalies of our physical and genetic makeup continues, guiding us ever deeper into the profound questions of our origins, we now turn our contemplative gaze from the lingering designs of vestigial organs to an even more astonishing and intellectually captivating human characteristic: the extraordinary and seemingly sudden acceleration of our cognitive capacity and the rapid expansion of our brain size. This remarkable cognitive leap, observed within a relatively brief evolutionary time frame, stands as one of the most compelling puzzles in our journey, inviting us to ponder whether this dramatic surge was purely the result of undirected natural selection, or if it hints at an accelerated, perhaps even guided, developmental phase for humanity. Consider, for a moment, the incredible ascent of the human mind. Over millions of years, the evolutionary trajectory of most species shows a relatively slow, incremental increase in brain size and complexity, directly correlated with environmental pressures and survival needs. Yet, when we examine the lineage leading to modern Homo sapiens, we observe a phenomenon that deviates significantly from this steady, gradual progression. Our ancestors experienced a truly rapid and almost exponential increase in brain volume and, more importantly, in the sophistication of cognitive abilities, far beyond what might be strictly necessary for mere survival in the wild. This wasn't a gentle curve, it was a steep and astonishing incline, a biological innovation that propelled our species forward with unprecedented speed. This rapid intellectual blossoming, often referred to as the cognitive leap, presents a profound challenge to conventional evolutionary timelines. While our bodies evolved to walk upright and our hands adapted for tool use, the development of our brain appears to have outpaced these physical adaptations dramatically. Compared to the painstakingly slow and incremental brain development seen in other primates and even earlier hominids, the human brain seemed to burst forth with a new level of complexity, enabling abstract thought, symbolic language, intricate problem-solving, and self-awareness in what, on a geological scale, amounts to an incredibly short span of time. This acceleration is genuinely surprising, a deviation from the expected rhythm of nature's evolutionary dance. It is as if a powerful, unseen catalyst was introduced, dramatically speeding up a process that, by all other accounts, should have unfolded over vastly longer epochs. What forces could account for such an unusually fast and profound increase in cognitive power? Mainstream evolutionary biology offers theories involving complex feedback loops. Larger brains enabled better tool use, which allowed for a richer diet, which in turn supported further brain growth, and so on. These theories are valid and provide important insights into the interplay of factors. However, the sheer rapidity and the magnitude of the change still leave many researchers grappling for a fully comprehensive explanation that aligns seamlessly with the typical pace of evolutionary change observed in the rest of the natural world. The jump from rudimentary tool use to sophisticated language, art, and abstract thought within what is effectively a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms feels almost like a sudden spark, an intentional ignition, rather than a slow-burning ember. This is where the premise of an engineered humanity finds a particularly compelling and thought-provoking resonance. Could this cognitive leap represent not merely a fortuitous series of mutations and environmental pressures, but rather an accelerated or guided developmental phase? Imagine a scenario where an external intelligence, a guiding hand, intentionally intervened in our genetic blueprint, introducing modifications that specifically targeted and enhanced neural development. Such an intervention could have dramatically fast-tracked the growth of our cerebral cortex, fostering the neural connectivity and complexity necessary for higher consciousness, advanced communication, and profound intellectual capabilities. This would explain the unexpected speed, transforming a gradual process into a more deliberately programmed acceleration. This perspective offers a profound sense of confirmation, a quiet relief for those who sense a deeper purpose or design behind human intelligence. It's not about undermining the wonders of natural evolution, but about enriching it, suggesting that our intellectual ascent might have been steered or strategically amplified at a critical juncture. The idea that our extraordinary minds, capable of contemplating the cosmos and unraveling the mysteries of our own existence, could be the result of a deliberate, intentional gift rather than a purely undirected accident, adds a powerful layer of awe and wonder to our story. It implies a grander design, a purposeful trajectory for humanity that encompasses our unique intellectual prowess. The persistent question of why our brains developed so quickly, and how we achieved such a remarkable level of cognitive sophistication in such a compressed time frame, continues to hum with a quiet intensity in the scientific community. It challenges us to look beyond the immediately apparent and to consider the profound implications of a guided hand, subtly shaping our intellectual evolution. This anomaly, embedded within the very core of our being, our capacity for thought, for consciousness, for understanding, is a powerful testament to the vast unknowns that still surround our origins. It invites us to contemplate, with gentle curiosity, the possibility that the very spark of our intellect, the essence of what makes us uniquely human, might be the most magnificent and enduring signature of an intelligent, ancient design. Let these profound thoughts about our extraordinary minds settle softly within you, deepening your reflection as you drift gently towards a night of peaceful and insightful sleep, enriched by the enduring mystery of our coded origins. As our tranquil journey continues to weave through the subtle biological and physiological anomalies that challenge our conventional understanding of human origins. Having just contemplated the astonishing, almost abrupt acceleration of our cognitive capacities, we now broaden our scope. We turn our gentle gaze from the silent whispers of our biology to the resonant echoes found in the most ancient of human records, the myths, legends, and sacred texts that span millennia and cultures. These venerable narratives, often dismissed as mere fables, contain striking parallels to the very premise we are exploring tonight: the idea that humanity may have been, at some point, directly influenced or even genetically engineered by an external, advanced intelligence. This integration of ancient lore with modern scientific puzzles adds a profound layer of intrigue, inviting us to see history not just as a record of human events, but as a potential cultural memory of our genetic genesis. The enduring questions within our own bodies find a surprising reflection in the timeless stories passed down through generations. Let us, for a moment, journey back to the cradle of civilization, to the fertile lands of ancient Mesopotamia, where the Sumerian civilization flourished thousands of years ago, long before recorded history as we commonly perceive it. It is here, inscribed on durable clay tablets in the intricate cuneiform script, that some of the most compelling and often controversial ancient narratives concerning human creation are found. These texts, painstakingly translated by dedicated scholars over the past 2 centuries, speak of highly advanced beings known as the Anunnaki, a name often interpreted to mean those who from heaven to earth came. These powerful, intelligent beings are described as having descended to earth from the heavens, establishing sophisticated cities, imparting knowledge, and actively governing early human societies. Their presence, as depicted in these ancient writings, was not fleeting or abstract, but deeply intertwined with the development of early civilization itself. What makes these Sumerian texts particularly pertinent to our discussion of engineered humanity is their explicit, almost scientific-sounding description of the creation, or, more accurately, the modification of humankind. The narratives detail how certain prominent Anunnaki figures, specifically Enki, often depicted as a brilliant scientist and geneticist, and Ninti, also known as Ninhursag, the great mother goddess and chief medical officer, undertook a profound biological project. Their stated purpose was to create a primitive worker, often referred to as the Lulu Amalu, literally mixed worker or primitive man. This creation was explicitly designed to relieve the Anunnaki themselves from arduous, laborious tasks, particularly the mining of gold and other precious resources, which, according to the texts, were essential for their own planetary survival or specific needs. This was not presented as a purely divine or miraculous act of instantaneous creation, but rather as a deliberate, almost experimental and iterative process, involving the mixing of the essence of the Anunnaki with existing primordial, hominid beings already present on Earth, often described in terms that suggest ape-like creatures. The detailed accounts speak of binding the image of the gods upon these beings, or taking the clay, a clear metaphor for biological or genetic material, and carefully infusing it with the blood or the essence of the Anunnaki. This procedural language, describing steps and techniques, resonates with an uncanny familiarity to modern genetic manipulation, hinting at a sophisticated level of biological understanding by these ancient gods. The parallels between these millennial narratives and the concept of modern genetic engineering are truly astonishing. The Sumerian accounts portray a conscious, intelligent force actively manipulating existing biological material to produce a new, hybridized species, Homo sapiens, imbued with specific characteristics and designed for a defined purpose. The Lulu Amalu was crafted to be intelligent enough to comprehend and follow complex instructions, robust enough to perform strenuous labor, yet perhaps not fully equal to its creators in all aspects, creating a dependency. This narrative raises a profound and often unsettling question. Could these ancient clay tablets, painstakingly preserved and now translated, be more than just myth? Could they be genuine historical echoes, fragmented cultural memories, or even literal, albeit allegorically framed, records of a sophisticated genetic engineering event that profoundly shaped our very lineage, imbuing us with traits that might otherwise seem anomalous? The meticulous details provided the mixing of essences, the creation of a worker, the specific attributes imbued, the purpose-driven design resonate uncannily with the very principles of genetic modification that we are only now, in our modern scientific era, beginning to conceptually grasp and practically master. This ancient narrative, found in the foundational texts of one of humanity's earliest complex civilizations, serves as a powerful testament to the enduring human desire for origin stories, and the consistent thread that suggests our beginnings might involve external, guiding hands. It's a compelling form of bookend storytelling, connecting the most ancient records of our past to the most cutting-edge questions of our present biology. The profound implication that our distant ancestors might have documented, in their own culturally appropriate language and symbolic frameworks, an event that we would today classify as genetic engineering, is a thought that should stir both wonder and humility within us. It forces us to confront the persistent human question of who are we, not just from a purely scientific or evolutionary perspective, but also from a deeply historical and cultural one, suggesting a continuity of inquiry across vast spans of time. The Anu connection, referring to the Sumerian sky god, who was the supreme deity and progenitor of the Anunnaki, further solidifies the theme of celestial or advanced beings influencing earthly life. If humanity was indeed engineered, as these profound texts suggest, then logical implications follow. Traces of this engineering would exist beyond our biology. They would be indelibly embedded in our shared cultural memory, in our earliest stories, and perhaps even in our collective unconsciousness, echoing across generations. These Sumerian accounts, therefore, transform from mere mythological curiosities into compelling pieces of circumstantial evidence, lending historical and cultural weight to the biological anomalies we are exploring in this tranquil journey. They are a quiet, yet powerful suggestion that the concept of humanity being engineered is not a radical modern idea born of science fiction, but a very ancient one, deeply ingrained in the earliest narratives of our existence, patiently waiting for us to rediscover its profound truth. As this ancient wisdom gently settles in your mind, let it deepen your connection to the vast, untold stories of our past. Consider the possibility that the very essence of human curiosity, our innate drive to question our origins, might itself be a programmed yearning, a subtle echo of a designed past compelling us to look for the creators. This profound historical context, intertwined with biological enigma, guides you ever closer to a peaceful and insightful sleep, enriched by the quiet contemplation of our deeply resonant and potentially engineered origins. As our tranquil journey continues to illuminate the subtle threads connecting our biology to ancient wisdom, having just immersed ourselves in the intricate Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki and the creation of the Lulu Amalu, we now gently expand our perspective. We turn our gaze outward, across continents, and through the vast, echoing corridors of human history, to discover a profound and striking consistency in the narratives that speak of our origins. It is a consistency that transcends geographical boundaries and cultural differences, hinting at a shared, perhaps even universal, memory of a time when humanity was not alone in its evolutionary path. This recurring motif, found in countless creation myths and ancestral legends, speaks of sky people, creators from the stars, or bringers of knowledge, advanced beings who descended from the heavens to interact directly with early humanity, profoundly shaping our biology, our civilization, and our very understanding of existence. Across the globe, from the oral traditions of indigenous tribes in the Americas to the sacred texts of ancient Egypt, India, and China, the archetype of a celestial creator or benevolent star-dweller recurs with astonishing frequency. These aren't isolated tales. They form a rich tapestry of shared experience, suggesting a common source of inspiration or a collective memory that permeates our deepest histories. The Hopi people, for example, speak of the Kushinas, who came from the stars to teach them how to live in harmony with the earth, and introduced agriculture, fundamental shift in human sustenance and social organization. In ancient Egypt, the pantheon of gods, particularly Osiris and Isis, are often described as having brought advanced knowledge of farming, law, and medicine, fundamentally altering the course of early Egyptian civilization, leading it from a state of primitive existence to one of sophisticated societal structure with remarkable speed. Their origin is frequently linked to stellar constellations, tying their influence directly to the cosmos. Further across the globe, the Dogon tribe of Mali holds intricate astronomical knowledge, specifically regarding the star system Sirius, that they claim was passed down to them by beings called the Namo, amphibious beings from Sirius, who arrived in a vessel, bringing advanced wisdom and technology. This knowledge, documented centuries before modern astronomy could confirm it, deeply puzzles anthropologists and astrophysicists alike. How could an ancient, isolated tribe possess such precise cosmological information without external aid? Similarly, in ancient Hindu scriptures, particularly the Vedas and Puranas, narratives of devas and asuras describe beings with immense powers, capable of interstellar travel in flying machines called vimanas, often intervening directly in human affairs, imparting knowledge, and even influencing the genetic makeup of early populations. These are not mere poetic metaphors. The descriptions are often detailed, painting vivid pictures of advanced technologies and beings interacting with a nascent humanity, not just observing, but actively participating in our development. What are we to make of these universal archetypes? Are they simply the product of a shared human imagination, independently conceiving similar fantastical explanations for the mysteries of life? Or, and this is the profound question we gently lay before you tonight, could these pervasive myths be interpreted as a collective, albeit often allegorical, memory of extraterrestrial or advanced terrestrial intervention? If humanity's genetic blueprint was indeed modified or engineered, as the anomalies in our biology suggest, then it stands to reason that the most impactful moments of this intervention, the arrival of our creators, the impartation of knowledge that accelerated our civilization, and the deliberate shaping of our species, would leave an indelible mark on our collective consciousness. These myths, then, would not be mere stories, but profound historical echoes, passed down through generations, attempting to preserve the memory of a monumental event that shaped not only our physical form, but also the very foundations of our civilization, guiding us with purpose and intention. The concept of creators from the stars or bringers of knowledge resonates deeply with the idea of genetic engineering, an advanced intelligence capable of interstellar travel and complex biological manipulation would undoubtedly possess the means to implement such changes. Their gifts of agriculture, metallurgy, or sophisticated social structures, as described in these myths, could be seen as the cultural manifestations of a species that was carefully guided, perhaps even accelerated, in its development through direct biological or informational intervention. The subtle yet persistent presence of these narratives in cultures that otherwise had no contact provides a powerful form of social proof for the idea of external influence. It suggests that across the diverse tapestry of human experience, a fundamental memory persists, a memory of a time when we were not simply products of blind chance, but the beneficiaries, or perhaps the subjects, of a grander design. This reflection invites us to ponder how these myths, these ancient whispers, continue to shape our worldview today. They subtly inform our innate curiosity about life beyond Earth, our yearning for meaning, and our deep-seated questions about our purpose. They connect our fundamental need for origin stories to the vast cosmic stage, suggesting that our human journey is intertwined with forces far grander than our planet alone. It is a moment of emotional breathing space after delving into dense archaeological and genetic concepts, allowing the imagination to soar while remaining grounded in the persistent questions of our past. These widespread accounts, therefore, deepen the mystery by showing how profoundly and universally the concept of external intervention has resonated with humanity throughout its history. They maintain a consistent narrative flow for relaxation, inviting us to contemplate, with open hearts and minds, the possibility that the very fabric of our ancient stories holds a key to understanding our truly extraordinary beginnings. Let these wondrous, cross-cultural tales gently settle in your mind, enriching your imagination as you continue to drift peacefully towards a profound and restful sleep. The echoes of the sky people whisper, inviting you to dream of possibilities far beyond our current understanding. As our quiet journey continues to unfold, having immersed ourselves in the profound echoes of ancient myths and cross-cultural narratives that speak of celestial creators and guiding intelligences, we now gently bring our contemplative gaze back to the present. It is natural to wonder if these anomalies and ancient stories hint at such a radical possibility as engineered humanity. Why then is this concept often met with such profound resistance, or even outright dismissal, within the established halls of mainstream science? This divergence between ancient whispers and modern orthodoxy is itself a fascinating anomaly, and by exploring it with a calm, analytical mind, we can gain a more balanced perspective on this profound hypothesis. The scientific community, by its very nature and its rigorous methodology, is built upon the principles of empiricism, testable hypotheses, and replicable results. Its strength lies in its commitment to observable phenomena and the gradual accumulation of evidence that can be scrutinized and validated by peers, ideas that challenge deeply entrenched paradigms, particularly those that venture into areas perceived as unscientific or supernatural. Arkwright rightly, from a scientific standpoint, met with skepticism and require an exceptionally high burden of proof. The concept of external genetic engineering, touching upon notions of intelligent design or extraterrestrial intervention, often falls into this category. It clashes with the dominant and highly successful neo-Darwinian synthesis, which primarily attributes biological diversity and complexity to undirected natural selection operating on random mutations over vast stretches of geological time. To embrace the idea of engineered humanity would necessitate a fundamental revaluation of many foundational tenets, a conceptual shift that is, understandably, a monumental undertaking for any scientific discipline. This scientific orthodoxy, while a crucial safeguard against unfounded speculation, can sometimes create a subtle, yet powerful, form of intellectual resistance, a kind of strategic counterexample where novel or challenging ideas find it difficult to gain traction. The reluctance stems not from malice, but from the very structure of scientific inquiries, the need for concrete evidence, the preference for parsimonious explanations, and the inherent difficulty of falsifying a hypothesis that involves an unobservable or long-gone external agent. Furthermore, the historical association of intelligent design with religious fundamentalism, rather than purely scientific inquiry, has created an additional layer of apprehension, leading many scientists to steer clear of any theories that might be perceived as undermining evolutionary theory. Even if those theories are presented with scientific rigor, it becomes a subtle moral dilemma for researchers. How to balance open inquiry into radical possibilities with the imperative to maintain scientific credibility and avoid the perception of pseudoscience. However, the scientific landscape is not static. It is a dynamic, ever-evolving frontier, and it is precisely in the rapidly emerging fields of modern biology and technological advancement that the ancient concepts of engineered humanity are beginning to find a new, profound, and often unsettling plausibility. What once seemed like pure fantasy, unimaginable through a scientific lens, is now becoming demonstrably within the realm of possibility, thanks to our own accelerating capabilities. Consider, for instance, the revolutionary advancements in *** genetic engineering ***. We are now, as a species, actively engaged in precisely the kind of biological manipulation that Sumerian texts describe. Technologies like CRISPR-Cas9 allow scientists to precisely edit genes, to cut and paste DNA sequences with unprecedented accuracy, to introduce new traits, and even to potentially activate or deactivate specific genetic components within organisms. What was once the exclusive domain of speculation is now becoming a practical, if ethically complex, reality in our laboratories. The very fact that we are now capable of such feats forces us to confront the logical extension. If we, with our relatively nascent technological understanding, can genetically modify life, then an older, far more advanced civilization or intelligence could have certainly possessed and wielded such capabilities on a grander scale, perhaps even on our own ancient ancestors. The payoff for the ancient ideas is that modern science is demonstrating the how Similarly, the burgeoning field of epigenetics is fundamentally reshaping our understanding of how genes are expressed and regulated. Epigenetics explores how environmental factors, lifestyle, and even generational experiences can switch genes on or off without altering the underlying DNA sequence itself. This means that an organism's phenotype, its observable traits, can be profoundly influenced by external factors that affect gene expression, even across generations. This concept lends a fascinating new layer of plausibility to the idea of a designed humanity. An external intelligence might not have needed to fundamentally rewrite our entire genetic code to achieve specific outcomes. Subtle epigenetic modifications, perhaps introduced through specific environmental conditions or even targeted biosignals, could have activated dormant traits, suppressed others, or rapidly adapted existing genetic material for new purposes. This offers a nuanced mechanism for genetic intervention that is less about raw gene splicing and more about sophisticated genetic control. A kind of biological programming that can be influenced by subtle external cues. The subtle sophistication of such a system provides a quiet answer to some of the persistent questions regarding the unexpected speed of certain human developmental leaps. These modern scientific advancements, rather than diminishing the mystery, elevate it. They provide a compelling payoff for the seemingly radical ancient concepts, showing that the mechanisms for such a design are not merely hypothetical, but increasingly within the realm of demonstrable biological possibility. The ancient stories of God's mixing essence or binding images now resonate with a new scientific weight, moving them from pure mythology into the realm of potential, albeit deeply interpreted, historical record. The scientific resistance, while valuable for rigorous inquiry, is slowly being eroded by the very progress it seeks to uphold. This phase of our exploration is about finding intellectual comfort in the ongoing debate, acknowledging the micro-confession that such ideas are controversial, but also celebrating the scientific progress that opens new doors of understanding. It's about maintaining a calm, objective curiosity, allowing the interplay between ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science to deepen our appreciation for the vast unknowns of our origins. The payoff for enduring the scientific resistance is the tantalizing glimpse into a future and a past where the boundaries of what is possible are far more expansive than we once dared to imagine. As these thoughts gently settle in your mind, let the convergence of ancient tales and modern science guide you ever closer to a profound and peaceful sleep, enriched by the quiet wonder of our intricate and potentially engineered beginnings. As our deep dive into the profound question of human origins gently continues, weaving through ancient whispers and the new light of modern science, we now bring our contemplative gaze to the present moment. The story of potentially engineered humanity is not confined to the distant past or abstract theories. It is a living, breathing mystery that continues to unfold with every new discovery, every puzzling observation that emerges from the forefront of scientific research. Even today, amidst our most advanced laboratories and through the painstaking work of geneticists and biologists, we are consistently confronted with new anomalies, emerging evidence, and persistent unanswered questions that stubbornly resist easy categorization and defy conventional explanations. These contemporary puzzles serve as gentle reminders that the book of human potential and variation is far from closed, inviting us to join in a shared contemplation of what might still lie hidden beneath the surface of our current understanding. One such contemporary enigma lies within the fascinating realm of unique genetic resistances found in isolated populations. Imagine remote communities, tucked away in secluded valleys or on distant islands, that have, against all odds, developed extraordinary immunities or tolerances to diseases that are devastating to the broader human population. For instance, there are indigenous groups known to possess specific genetic markers that confer a remarkable natural resistance to HIV, or populations in certain regions exhibiting a surprising resilience to certain types of cancers, far beyond what would be expected from random genetic variation alone. These aren't just minor adaptations. These are profound, life-saving resistances that seem to have appeared with an almost uncanny efficiency. While natural selection undoubtedly plays a role in fostering such traits over time, the speed of their appearance and their highly localized concentration in certain groups pose a quiet, yet persistent, question. Could these localized, potent resistances be the result of a subtle, perhaps even intentional, genetic tweak, a deliberate programming for resilience in the face of specific threats, or the activation of dormant protective genes within a segment of the human population? It is as if, in certain corners of our world, a forgotten layer of our genetic blueprint, one designed for extraordinary survival, is quietly revealing itself. Further adding to this intriguing tapestry are unexplained physiological feats that continue to baffle scientists. Consider, for example, individuals who demonstrate unusual longevity far beyond statistical averages, not merely due to healthy lifestyles, but seemingly driven by an inherent biological predisposition, or the rare, yet documented, cases of superhealing capabilities, where individuals recover from severe injuries or illnesses with a speed and completeness that astonish medical professionals. Defying the typical biological repair mechanisms, we also see exceptional abilities in certain individuals, such as those with enhanced sensory perception, eyesight, or hearing, far exceeding the normal instances of seemingly innate cold resistance that allows individuals to endure extreme temperatures for extended periods without succumbing to hypothermia, almost as if possessing a built-in biological thermostat. These aren't widespread human traits, but rather scattered, remarkable occurrences that push the boundaries of what we understand to be biologically possible for our species. They are like small, intriguing facts that act as serial mini-hooks, drawing our attention to the persistent gaps in our understanding of human potential. The persistent gaps in our understanding of human potential and variation are not diminishing. In many ways, they are being highlighted with increasing clarity as our scientific tools become more precise. We are discovering new layers of complexity in our epigenome, the intricate system of switches that control gene expression, revealing how much of our biology is still a mystery, still waiting to be fully decoded. The interactions between our genes, our environment, and our health are far more nuanced than once imagined, and within this complexity, the opportunities for unexplained phenomena seem to multiply. It is a slow reveal of the sheer depth of our biological programming, where every answered question seems to unveil a dozen new ones, subtly suggesting that our understanding of life's fundamental code is still in its infancy. These contemporary anomalies, from unique genetic resistances to unexplained physiological feats, serve as powerful reminders that the profound mystery of our origins is far from solved. They demonstrate that the questions we are exploring tonight are not just historical curiosities, but active, ongoing scientific inquiries that continue to challenge the boundaries of our knowledge. They hint at possibilities that our current scientific paradigms may not yet fully accommodate, and perhaps they are subtle clues to an even grander, more intentional story of human existence. As we gently acknowledge these emerging pieces of evidence and the multitude of unanswered questions they present, we invite you, our fellow traveler in this tranquil journey, to join us in this belonging ritual of shared contemplation. It is in these moments of quiet wonder, as we collectively ponder the persistent mysteries of our own bodies and the incredible variations that define us, that we truly connect to the vast, undiscovered chapters of our shared human story. Let the gentle hum of these ongoing scientific efforts and the quiet persistence of these unexplained phenomena guide you deeper into reflection. nurturing your curiosity as you drift peacefully towards a profound and restful sleep, enriched by the continuous unfolding of human potential. The journey into our past is, in many ways, an ongoing journey into our present, and a tantalizing glimpse into our future, as our deep, tranquil exploration of humanity's genetic and physiological anomalies gently draws to a close. Having journeyed through ancient bones, coded DNA, and the persistent mysteries of our physical form, we now arrive at the most profound and, perhaps, the most intimately human of all enigmas. These are the anomalies that touch upon the very essence of who we are, extending beyond our physical blueprint to the ethereal realms of consciousness and purpose. These final contemplations are designed to provide a powerful yet serene crescendo to our inquiry, seamlessly guiding us toward the video's concluding reflections and leaving us with questions that resonate long after sleep takes hold. Let us, for a moment, consider the profound mystery of human consciousness and self-awareness, what truly defines this unique spark that allows us not just to exist, but to that we exist, to ponder our own mortality, to reflect on our past, and to envision our future. While animals exhibit various forms of awareness, the depth, complexity, and self-referential nature of human consciousness is often regarded as unique in the animal kingdom. A qualitative leap, rather than a mere quantitative increase in brain function. Is it simply an emergent property of a vastly complex brain, a fortunate accident arising from billions of neuronal connections? Or could this profound capacity for self-awareness, for introspection, and for complex abstract thought be an intentional gift, a fundamental trait engineered directly into our species? Imagine an intelligence seeking to create not just a physical form, but a being capable of profound self-reflection, moral reasoning, and a conscious connection to the universe. This anomaly, embedded in our very sense of being, encourages us in this perceived extended time to reflect deeply on the source of our inner world, asking if the very light of our awareness was carefully kindled by unseen hands. This contemplation naturally leads us to another deeply human, yet equally enigmatic trait, the persistent sense of otherness and our innate drive to look up Humanity has an almost universal, inherent yearning for exploration, an insatiable curiosity about the cosmos, and a longing for connection with something greater than ourselves. From ancient stargazers charting constellations to modern astrophysicists probing the furthest reaches of the universe, we are a species perpetually gazing skyward, asking questions about life beyond Earth. We build telescopes, send probes to distant planets, and search tirelessly for signals from other civilizations. This deep-seated drive, this almost spiritual longing to understand our place in the vastness, to connect with something beyond our terrestrial confines, feels almost like an embedded characteristic, a subtle yearning for our creators or our true home. Is this merely intellectual curiosity, or could it be a deeply programmed instinct, a latent memory, or even a subtle instruction within our genetic code, guiding us to seek answers to our origins amongst the stars? It's a powerful human touch to our shared experience, connecting us all through this universal sense of wonder and cosmic belonging. Consider the notion that this profound existential curiosity, this ceaseless quest for meaning and connection, is not merely a byproduct of our intelligence, but an intentional component of our design. If we were indeed engineered, then perhaps this yearning to look up, to question, to explore the unknown, is a deliberate feature of subtle programming intended to guide us back to the source of our creation, or to a grander narrative that spans galaxies. It's a conditional future perspective, how these ideas might shape our understanding of our destiny, nudging us towards a future where we embrace our cosmic lineage. This drive compels us to move beyond our planetary cradle, to seek out the answers to who we are, not just in the dust of our ancient past, but in the boundless expanse of the future. These final anomalies, the profound mystery of our consciousness and our ingrained longing for the stars, are perhaps the most powerful and poetic suggestions of an engineered humanity. They transcend mere biological structure and genetic code, touching upon our very spirit and purpose. They transform the abstract idea of design into a deeply personal, relatable experience, resonating with the questions that have haunted humanity since the dawn of time. They challenge us to consider that the very core of our being, our ability to contemplate and our desire to explore, might be the ultimate signature of a purposeful design, an intelligent hand that not only shaped our physical form, but imbued us with the essence of cosmic curiosity. Let these profound and beautiful speculations settle softly in your mind, deepening your sense of wonder for the mystery that is humanity. As you drift ever closer to a profound and peaceful sleep, allow these thoughts to expand your perception of what it truly means to be human, and the magnificent, untold story that still awaits us. As the gentle currents of our exploration begin to slow, and the profound questions we've contemplated settle softly within us, it's time to gather the threads of this intricate tapestry we've woven together tonight. Our journey has been a deep dive into the subtle, yet persistent, anomalies that whisper a different narrative about human origins, a story where the grand design of humanity might not be solely the product of undirected chance, but perhaps the magnificent handiwork of a guiding intelligence, an ancient, advanced engineering. We have traversed vast landscapes of time and knowledge, from the silent, sand-swept secrets of elongated skulls that hint at different, more robust ancient forms, to the enigmatic Rh-negative blood factor, a genetic outlier that defies simple evolutionary explanations, hinting at a distinct lineage or a subtle biological modification. We gently peeled back the layers of our own genetic code, pondering the vast stretches of junk DNA, once dismissed as mere clutter, now recognized as a complex, often mysterious, regulatory system that could well hold dormant instructions or remnants of an intentional, sophisticated blueprint. We marveled at our unique physiological peculiarities, the striking paradox of our hairlessness and our obligate upright posture, traits that seem to have accelerated into existence with an uncanny speed, as if part of a programmed upgrade. The distinct descent of our larynx, granting us the gift of complex speech at the cost of a choking hazard, resonated with the idea of a design choice, prioritizing communication above all else. Our journey also took us into the intriguing realm of vestigial organs, reinterpreting them not merely as evolutionary leftovers, but as potential deactivated features, subtle clues to an earlier, more complex genetic design that was perhaps streamlined or altered. We considered the breathtaking, rapid ascent of our cognitive capacity, the sudden spark of human intelligence, which seems to have leaped forward with a speed that still puzzles the most dedicated scientists, prompting questions of an accelerated, guided developmental phase. And we allowed our minds to drift into the resonant echoes of ancient records, from the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki creating the Lulu Amalu, to the cross-cultural myths of sky people and creators from the stars, narratives that profoundly mirror the modern concept of genetic engineering and external intervention. In these contemplations, we explored how even contemporary science, with its advancements in epigenetics and genetic engineering, is beginning to make such ancient concepts seem not only plausible but within the realm of the achievable. We've seen how persistent anomalies, from unique genetic resistances in isolated populations to unexplained physiological feats and the profound mystery of human consciousness itself, continue to challenge the boundaries of our understanding, maintaining a constant, ongoing conversation about human potential and the vast unknowns that still surround our origins. And finally, we reflected on the most intimate of all anomalies, our inherent drive to look up, our ceaseless yearning to explore the cosmos and connect with something greater, a profound sense of otherness that might just be an embedded characteristic, a subtle yearning for our creators or our true home among the stars. Tonight, we haven't sought definitive answers, for the deepest mysteries rarely offer them easily. Instead, we have embraced the journey of discovery itself, allowing the vastness of the unknown to envelop us with humility and wonder. We have opened our minds to the profound possibility that our existence, in all its complexity and paradox, might be part of a grander, more intentional narrative, a masterpiece subtly sculpted by unseen hands. This exploration is an invitation to continuous curiosity, a gentle nudge to look at ourselves and the world around us with fresh eyes and an open heart, recognizing that every question deepens our understanding and expands our perception of what it truly means to be human. If this tranquil deep dive into the mysteries of our past and the anomalies within our very being has resonated with you, if it has sparked a quiet sense of wonder or encouraged a new perspective, we invite you to share your thoughts. Leave a comment below sharing which anomaly captivated your imagination the most, or what new question it stirred within you. Consider this your act of shared curiosity, an offering to our growing community of thoughtful explorers who dare to ponder the profound. Your words enrich our collective journey and inspire further contemplation. And if you feel that this peaceful exploration could illuminate the minds of others, or perhaps provide a gentle companion for their own journey into restful sleep, we kindly ask you to like this video. Not for us, but because your simple gesture helps YouTube understand that this content is valuable, allowing it to reach more curious minds, seeking deeper answers and a tranquil path to understanding. Think of your like as a soft beacon, guiding others to this calm space of shared inquiry. Each like is an act of altruism, helping to spread this unique perspective to someone who might need to hear these whispers of an engineered past. As the gentle currents of our exploration begin to slow, and the profound questions we've contemplated settle softly within us, it's time to gather the threads of this intricate tapestry we've woven together tonight. Our journey has been a deep dive into the subtle, yet persistent, anomalies that whisper a different narrative about human origins, a story where the grand design of humanity might not be solely the product of undirected chance, but perhaps the magnificent handiwork of a guiding intelligence, an ancient, advanced engineering. We have traversed vast landscapes of time and knowledge, from the silent, sand-swept secrets of elongated skulls that hint at different, more robust ancient forms, to the enigmatic Rh-negative blood factor, a genetic outlier that defies simple evolutionary explanations, hinting at a distinct lineage or a subtle biological modification. We gently peeled back the layers of our own genetic code, pondering the vast stretches of junk DNA, once dismissed as mere clutter, now recognized as a complex, often mysterious, regulatory system that could well hold dormant instructions or remnants of an intentional, sophisticated blueprint. We marveled at our unique physiological peculiarities, the striking paradox of our hairlessness and our obligate upright posture, traits that seem to have accelerated into existence with an uncanny speed, as if part of a programmed upgrade. The distinct descent of our larynx, granting us the gift of complex speech at the cost of a choking hazard, resonated with the idea of a design choice, prioritizing communication above all else. Our journey also took us into the intriguing realm of vestigial organs, reinterpreting them not merely as evolutionary leftovers, but as potential deactivated features, subtle clues to an earlier, more complex genetic design that was perhaps streamlined or altered. We considered the breathtaking, rapid ascent of our cognitive capacity, the sudden spark of human intelligence, which seems to have leaped forward with a speed that still puzzles the most dedicated scientists, prompting questions of an accelerated, guided developmental phase. And we allowed our minds to drift into the resonant echoes of ancient records, from the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki creating the Lulu Amalu to the cross-cultural myths of sky people and creators from the stars, narratives that profoundly mirror the modern concept of genetic engineering and external intervention. In these contemplations, we explored how even contemporary science, with its advancements in epigenetics and genetic engineering, is beginning to make such ancient concepts seem not only plausible but within the realm of the achievable. We've seen how persistent anomalies, from unique genetic resistances in isolated populations to unexplained physiological feats and the profound mystery of human consciousness itself, continue to challenge the boundaries of our understanding, maintaining a constant, ongoing conversation about human potential and the vast unknowns that still surround our origins. And finally, we reflected on the most intimate of all anomalies, our inherent drive to look up, our ceaseless yearning to explore the cosmos and connect with something greater, a profound sense of otherness that might just be an embedded characteristic, a subtle yearning for our creators or our true home among the stars. Tonight, we haven't sought definitive answers, for the deepest mysteries rarely offer them easily. Instead, we have embraced the journey of discovery itself, allowing the vastness of the unknown to envelop us with humility and wonder. We have opened our minds to the profound possibility that our existence, in all its complexity and paradox, might be part of a grander, more intentional narrative, a masterpiece subtly sculpted by unseen hands. This exploration is an invitation to continuous curiosity, a gentle nudge to look at ourselves and the world around us with fresh eyes and an open heart, recognizing that every question deepens our understanding and expands our perception of what it truly means to be human. If this tranquil deep dive into the mysteries of our past and the anomalies within our very being has resonated with you, if it has sparked a quiet sense of wonder or encouraged a new perspective, we invite you to share your thoughts. Leave a comment below sharing which anomaly captivated your imagination the most, or what new question it stirred within you. Consider this your act of shared curiosity, an offering to our growing community of thoughtful explorers who dare to ponder the profound. Your words enrich our collective journey and inspire further contemplation. And if you feel that this peaceful exploration could illuminate the minds of others, or perhaps provide a gentle companion for their own journey into restful sleep, we kindly ask you to like this video. Not for us, but because your simple gesture helps YouTube understand that this content is valuable, allowing it to reach more curious minds seeking deeper answers and a tranquil path to understanding. Think of your like as a soft beacon, guiding others to this calm space of shared inquiry. Each like is an act of altruism, helping to spread this unique perspective to someone who might need to hear these whispers of an engineered past. As the last whispers of our journey settle into the quiet corners of your mind, allow yourself to drift deeper into profound relaxation, The questions we have explored tonight, the subtle anomalies and ancient echoes, are not meant to disturb, but to open your spirit to the vast, beautiful mysteries of our existence. Let these thoughts gently recede, like distant stars fading into the dawn, as you embrace the tranquility of the present moment. Your mind has traveled far, contemplated deeply, and now it is time for peaceful rest. May your sleep be restorative, bringing you deep peace and renewed wonder for the world. Carry forward this spirit of open-mindedness, this gentle curiosity, as you awaken to a new day. For in every sunrise, in every breath, there is another opportunity to explore the miracles within and around us. If this tranquil journey has brought you a measure of peace or a fresh perspective, consider sharing this video. Not for us, but because your simple act can be a gentle beacon, guiding others who seek profound questions and a calming pathway to rest. Imagine the solace it might bring to someone else, adrift in the vast sea of unanswered questions. Your share is a mission of peace, extending this quiet contemplation to those who need it most. And if you wish to continue exploring these profound mysteries with us, to remain part of a community that values deep thought and peaceful inquiry, we invite you to subscribe to the channel. It's more than a click. It's a quiet commitment to your own journey of discovery, a promise to nourish your curious mind and soul. By subscribing, you join a gentle gathering of kindred spirits, dedicated to understanding the universe and ourselves with an open heart. Now, let your breathing become deeper, slower, a soft rhythm accompanying the quietude around you. Feel the embrace of the night, the profound stillness. All questions, all thoughts, can gently fade into the background. There is only peace, only rest. Let the ambient music guide you now, carrying you effortlessly into the soft embrace of sleep. Good night, dear friend. Rest well, and dream of the infinite possibilities that await our understanding.